Hi, I'm Jim Smith, Undersecretary General of Committees for MSUMUN, and today I'm going to go over resolution writing. Now, resolutions are the substantive policy prescriptions that delegates come up with after some extensive period of debate to actually begin to address the problems they've been discussing in their committees. And there are two major parts of a resolution. The first is its set of pre-ambulatory clauses, which attempt to explain the problem at hand, set out action that's been taken in the past, and different facets of the problem. Operative clauses are the actual substantive sort of meat of the resolution, in the sense that they take the actual steps necessary to address the problem at hand, be it creating a new subcommittee to distribute aid, or involving the use of different UN-related bodies or non-governmental organizations, things of that nature. So first we're going to go over the structure of a resolution. So as you can see here, a resolution begins with this sort of header section. First, the committee, or in this case just the General Assembly, is listed at the top, followed by a list of sponsors. Sponsors are those who contributed actual large chunks of the resolution's language. Signatories are those nations either who support the resolution, or if they don't support it, at least they want to see it debated. And then the topic in this case is maritime piracy, after which time you include the preambulatory clauses. They begin with what is called a preambulatory phrase, which is in italics, and it takes the form of an ing verb. So taking into account, recognizing, keeping in mind. Then the bulk of the preamble follows, and each preamble begins with, or ends with a comma and. This is so that the entire resolution works grammatically as a sentence, because in theory a resolution is just one very long sentence. So after that, at the end of the last preamble, there is a colon, followed by the name of the committee and a comma. After that, you have the operative clauses, and each of those begins with what is called an operative phrase. And this is an active verb ending in an S, or something like that. And it's underlined, and then you have the operative, and each operative clause ends with a semicolon, except in the cases of clauses with subclauses, in which case the clause ends with a colon. Then the final clause or subclause of the resolution ends with a period, ending the sentence. So these are a few examples of good and bad preambulatory clauses. To keep things sort of contiguous, we're going to use the same topic for all of them, in this case the Persian Gulf War. So this first preambulatory clause is a good one, keeping in mind UN Security Council Resolutions 660, 665, and 678. Specific, to the point, it makes a difference. The second clause is bad for a number of reasons. The first of which, it's a personal attack on a head of state, in this case Saddam Hussein. It also ends with the wrong punctuation. It's just poorly written in general, and therefore it's not a very good preambulatory clause. The second bad example here, it's really only bad because it's actually a good operative clause. It's just not meant to be a preambulatory clause because it takes substantive action. And the last example here is a bad example of a preambulatory clause, simply because it's off topic. Inner city American youth really don't have much to do with the Persian Gulf War. Here are some examples of good and bad operative clauses. The first one is a good example. Calls upon Iraq to withdraw immediately from the sovereign territory of Kuwait. It's arguable how much impact necessarily that clause would have, but nevertheless it is substantive. It is a policy prescription, and it is laid out in this clause. Second example here, once again, off topic. Perfectly decent clause for, say, a drug trafficking resolution, but this is not pertinent to the Persian Gulf War. The third clause here, recalling Saddam Hussein's use of biological and chemical weapons against Iraqi Kurds. This is sort of the reverse of what we had on the previous slide. This is a perfectly good preambulatory clause. It's just not meant to be an operative because it's drawing attention to a facet of the problem without taking action. And then this last clause here is wrong for two primary reasons. One, punctuation is wrong, and two, it's sort of vague and not very well structured. Moves to create a body to distribute discretionary funds for humanitarian purposes. What's the body going to be called? What are its policies going to be? These are things that need to be explained in the operative clause.